What do you get when you take some therapists and put them in front of a screen to watch something creeping back from childhood that should have never been for children or preteens? They're gonna dive right in and reassess those flicks. What's more scary and disturbing than you realized and gave you nervous tics? They're the movies that traumatized us.
Welcome to the movies that traumatized us. I'm excited. We're actually doing what easily amounts to my second favorite movie of all time.
So what movie are we doing?
We're doing The Secret of NIMH. Come on. Second favorite movie of all time. Only movie that is my favorite movie of all time has to be The Fifth Element, which I saw like 21 times in the movie theater.
Wow.
I know.
You saw The Fifth Element 21 times in the theater? Oh, wow. That's a lot of times. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, my phone is being stupid tonight, so I can't stream this like I normally do.
So it's funny because I show us like occasionally buffering and then other times not buffer, like my other screen not buffering. It's really weird how it's messing up. But I don't know, like Denver Bear Hunter, are you noticing anything weird on your end? If not, then I'm okay. And we're gonna get started. But I hope you guys like The Secret of NIMH. The Secret of NIMH is really, honestly, it's such a great movie. On so many levels, it's such a great movie. Like, A, it's just fun. B, it's very well animated. It's very beautiful. It has a lot of just... I don't, like, wow, I don't even know how to say it, because it just has such great visuals. And the animation is just so well done. I love the story. Like, you know, little Miss Rat wants to save her family, and she has to go seek out all this help from all of these things and everything that she's scared of. Whether that happens to be, you know, an owl or or the rats that, you know, she's never associated with, and she learns stuff about her family and her husband, and like there's just all these great little elements to this movie and to this story.
Right. I have thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I didn't read the book before, last week, and I like the parallels with them. I also like that it's a former Disney animator that's pretty much giving the finger to Disney, who animated this in his garage and competes with Disney.
I know, right? Tell me that is not some of the best stuff that you could ask for. Like, former animators are like, F you, House of Mouse.
Right?
I'm doing this from my garage. That's how badass I am.
Well, Don Bluth, who is the producer and the animator, he tried to give it to Disney, right? And right. Disney was like, I already have a mouse. Fuck you.
Talk about screwing up, Disney. Like, I'm just gonna say, like, talk about screwing up. You know, they really, like, they screwed the pooch on this one, because there was so much to this. And you guys, like, I mean, this is the movie, the movie still, right? The movie cover. This is what it looked like. For those of you that may have seen it, may not have seen it, or may have forgotten, you know, you can't miss it. Like, all of the elements are here. Everybody that you kind of see right here on the front cover is some kind of, you know, player in the overall story. I think the only person missing on this front cover is the shrew.
Oh God, the shrew. We're gonna get into the shrew later.
This fucking shrew, man. I don't even know what to do with the shrew. Like, you know, in the book, she's not nearly the issue she is in the movie.
It's like this elitist curtain mafia older woman. We'll get into Auntie Shrew's like freaking kinks and stuff too.
Wow. Yeah. Do we even have? Did you get me a still of that? I don't think you did.
I think there's a still in there, at least of Jeremy all tied up.
I just don't think it's the. I don't still think it's like. Oh no, maybe it is. It is. Never mind. I see it. It is the crew. It is the shrew's level of shibari. Right there. So we're gonna talk about that when we get there. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that when we get there. But anyways, this movie, we chose this movie. So I know we kind of mentioned this before with you guys, where we're doing this thing where we do like a user suggested movie, and then we do a movie that we pick. And so this was a user suggested movie, right? We really wanted to, like, we saw it on there and we were just like, yes, The Rats of NIMH, or The Secret of NIMH.
Yep.
Of course, I was totally all about it because I was like, easily one of my favorite movies. So let's.
I loved it as a kid.
Oh yeah. I did too. So other interesting facts about this movie. The original title of the book, if you guys don't know it, is Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of NIMH. They changed her name from Frisbee to Brisbee because they didn't want it to get confused with the toy.
And he feared lawsuits, like Bluth feared lawsuits from the Frisbee company. And he even like reached out to them saying, hey, I'm going to be using this book called, Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of NIMH, even though it's spelled completely different. But he was so afraid of like lawsuits and copyrights and shit that he was like, no, we're just going to change it all. In fact, they had to redub it because they had already used Frisbee in all of the voiceovers.
Yeah.
So they had to do the buh.
Yeah, I had to go back and change it to Brisbee. So she was never meant to be Brisbee. So, don't let anybody tell you otherwise. It's Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of NIMH. She was always a Frisbee, not a Brisbee. Which, I mean, come on, it's an adorable name. She was an adorable little mouse. Let's be honest.
She was a very nicely drawn anthropomorphic mouse.
Yeah, she was adorable. So the movie starts off with kind of this nice little scene at home, and but then you find out that the kid is sick and she has to this starts her journey, right? Like, literally, you want to talk about a hero's journey. She starts her hero's journey because her kid is sick.
Poor Timothy has pneumonia.
So her kid gets sick and she goes on a quest. She goes on a quest to see Mr. Ages. Oh, Mr. Ages.
Oh my god, Mr. Ages. Such a kerfuffled mouse.
He is
He's like
a kerfuffled mouse. Yeah, dude. He's also an asshole, let's be honest. I mean, he just is so dismissive of her need of help.
Right.
Like, he's so wrapped up in his own affairs and his own, random BS that he just doesn't even think about the fact that she's asking him for help. And he's just, he's dismissive of her every step of the way.
He's super dismissive.
Okay, so this is one of those things, but because I love this story so much, obviously I've also read the book. So, usually when we get to these things and we do these movies that also have books, like, Nikki will read the book and I usually don't. I stick to the fact of the movie, like, what is the movie showing us? But it's really hard with this one because I have the book and I love this story, so of course I went back and reread the book as well. And it drives me nuts because, his placement in the story is so different. In the book, in the movie, we find him in the tractor working on trying to sabotage the tractor. In the book, he's in the forest. In his house in the forest, doing his thing and minding his business out there, and not even trying to mess with the tractor or any of that, because the tractor is parked off in a shed, like in the book. But it's irrelevant. They did stick to his coloring. In the book, he's a white mouse, and in the movie, he's still a kerfuffly old white mouse. But Mr. Ages is kind of an elitist dick. I'm gonna be honest. Kind of how I feel about him. I mean, I don't know if you feel any differently about him. I just feel like he's kind of an elitist dick.
He's so wrapped up in his own affairs. He not really caring about anybody else's. And we find out later it's because he's like working on a project for the rats.
Right, like he's trying to help the rats with their plan. And, you know, so there's these big, like, overarching things that are happening. It's not just this one event inside the story, which is really interesting because the book is only like 200 pages long.
Mm-hmm.
And there's
it's really short book.
Yeah, and there's all of these things. Like, you can sit down and read this book in a day. Like, but there's all these little things that are happening. There's the plot with Mrs. Frisbee and trying to save her son and make him better. And then finding out that her house, you know, he can't leave, so she's got to move her house. You know, but then there's the rats, and they have their big overarching plot, the things that they're trying to do, and she's, like, inserting herself into their story. And it's kind of interesting how that happens, because it's kind of like blowing up a balloon inside of a balloon, right? Like, her story is happening inside of their story. And, like, at some point... Oh.
Spectrum is not winning any brownie points with me today.
They're not winning brownie points with me either, because I don't usually have internet problems like this, and I'm still dropping frames, which is really bad. But, you know, the occasional buffering I'm okay with, but we're also, like, we've lost viewers. At least it looks like we've lost viewers because of what's happening. That always worries me. Because, you know, we spend a lot of time getting these together. Hey, guys, if you didn't notice, just with that aside, down at the bottom in the card sets, on the About sections of us, you will find a link to merch. If you want to get merch from the movies that traumatize us, please feel free. If there's any specific merch you'd like, you know, feel free to request, and we'll see what we can do about adding things to the merch. But yeah, so there's a merch link down there now that we've added in. But other than that, you know, getting back on topic, it is, like I was saying, when you drop, you know, it's like a balloon blowing up inside of a balloon, right? Like, it's
right.
There's like these two big expansive plots happening all at the same time. And it's the rat's plan, and it's her plan to rescue her son. And she goes and she really throws a wrench in their plans along the way. So do we have a still of...
I don't know, I went really light on the stills this time,
You
so
did.
you might...
I really like it when we have stills, but, you know, let's do this one here. I think this will work out nicely for us. Give me a second. It popped up in the wrong spot. So, there we go. Look at that. Let me just pull it into frame here. There we go. So this is Mrs. Brisby, or Mrs. Frisbee. I want to call her Brisby because in the movie she's Brisby. This is where Mrs. Frisbee goes to talk to Mr. Ages, and we can see his, like, dismissive, shitty attitude.
Mr. Ages? Mr. Ages? Is anybody home?
Go away!
Mr. Ages?
What is it?
Mr. Ages, may I please speak to you?
What?
I said, may I please speak with you? Oh, thank goodness. I'm so glad you're home.
You confounded machine. You never know when it's going to up and blow.
Yes. I don't suppose you would remember me.
Yes, you're Mrs. Brisby. And I'm sorry about your husband's death. Now, if you'd excuse me.
Mr. Ages!
I just realized how
Stupid
dismissive
woman. What
he
do
is
you
of
want?
her husband's
Mr. Ages,
death.
I
I'm
know
sorry
you're
about that.
visitors,
Bye,
but this
bitch.
is an emergency.
Right. I was sorry to hear that. But just look at, like, the background and the watercolor, like the watercolor background.
Madam, that is an emergency.
Oh, Mr. Ages, my son Timothy is so sick.
Timmy? The one with the spider bite? Oh, just give him some Pepsi-Cicero.
No, no, he's sick with a fever.
Well, I suppose I could fix up something.
Oh, thank you.
Follow me, but don't touch anything. Understand? Oh,
I do appreciate it.
Just how high is his fever?
He's burning hot to the touch.
Yes.
He's soaking wet with perspiration.
Yes.
And there's a raspy sound when he breathes.
A raspy sound, you say?
He's such like a little drama king mouse.
He really is.
Does he have...
Like, he's just got such an attitude, and I don't really, like, I don't understand his, like, in the book, Mr. H is really actually quite accommodating to her needs.
He's not as much of a curmudgeon in the book.
No, he's still curmudgeon-y, but not to this level. Like, not to the level that you're just like, wow, man, you're like old man dick. Like, you're like the guy sitting in his rocking chair on his porch, and he's like, young punks, get off my lawn! You know, like, just like, he's that level of curmudgeon-y. Like, he doesn't want to interact with anybody, he doesn't want to socialize, he doesn't want to have interaction. He's literally, like, a hermit loner.
Well, he does. He wants to have interaction with the rats. He doesn't want to have it with anybody else.
Right. Now there is some understandable story to that. And we learn some of it in the movie. You definitely learn more of it in the book. But,
right.
Like, what happens there and what that's about. But he's really very curmudgeon-y, and he's very dismissive of her needs. And yes, ultimately, he's helpful. He does help her. Right? He you know, pulls his panties out of his ass and gets them unknotted long enough to give her some medicine and give her some advice and say, you know, give him this. Don't let him get out of bed. He can't move for like 3 weeks. You know, God forbid you have to move him sooner than that because it'll come back and he could die.
Right. He can't be moved for 3 weeks. No cold air in his lungs. Nothing like that. But guess what?
So, the problems start. Wow. Yeah, because then moving day comes way sooner. Where is the... I'm trying to see it here.
Well, the next scene that would come up would be Jeremy, but I don't know which scene you're looking for.
Does Jeremy... Oh, yeah, because she's on her way home, and that's where she runs into Jeremy.
Yeah, he's upside down in the log, being a great lure for the cat.
Yeah. That would be this one here.
Your affair. Now, to what you are about to see and hear,
right?
You must swear.
No, that's meeting Justin and Jenner. Sorry, I grabbed the wrong one. I thought that was the Jeremy one. Where is it? There it is.
Comfort me like that.
I didn't mean to
I
frighten
grabbed the wrong
you.
one because I had.
You didn't frighten me. I was just sort of working out.
Oh, no.
You just broke my concentration.
You look more like you're all tangled up.
Yeah, I guess that's enough exercise for one day. Besides, I'm really after this terrific string. I'm working on a love nest for 2. You know what I mean?
Oh, I see. You have a girl.
Well, not really. I mean, I haven't found Miss Right yet. But when I do, the whole world will hear us singing.
Yeah, so I like...
Excuse me, pardon me.
I like both versions
Well,
of
you
Jeremy.
keep making all that noise and Dragon will hear you.
Right.
If he hasn't already.
Wouldn't you sing too? I mean, if you felt... if you felt the call of the wild...
I think
I would-
Dom DeLuise
Well,
gave him a lot of life.
yeah, well, I like both versions of Jeremy. So, as you guys can see, Jeremy is kind of like this klutzy, like... You don't see it just yet, but I mean, it comes up. Obviously, he's going to be a helpful character for her, right? You can kind of tell by his attitude already that he's going to be helpful in some way. So she helps him out here. She gets him out of the string. In the book, he's wrapped up in a silver string that he picked up because it was shiny, and he thought it was pretty, and he wanted to take it, and it got wrapped around his foot, so he sat on a barbed wire fence, and it got tangled up in the fence, and then he got tangled up in it, and she cuts him out of it. The same effect happens, though, right? She saves him. And to that effect, he's like, hey, you know, I owe you because you saved my life. And also, the other thing that happens is, as you guys heard here, she was like, "Hey, be quiet, or you'll get Dragon's attention." Same thing happens in the book. Be quiet, you'll get Dragon's attention, right? And in both cases, Dragon comes after them. Does this scene persist through that?
Yeah, it goes like, "You're gonna call Dragon over. I wouldn't be so loud if I knew there was a cat."
Yeah. So let's get to that, because I want to talk about Dragon, because we haven't gotten to anything that's really scary yet, and we're about to get to some of the first stuff that's actually
somewhere. And when
scary.
I find her, I'll feel
I have never
way
seen a
down in
cat
my
with
wishbone.
fur and
what
claws
Dragon.
like Dragon.
He belongs to Farmer Fitzgibbons. Look
You know,
towards the house.
that's fair.
See if you
Dragon-
can see him.
Even he has those
back
dragon
down here.
claws on
He'll
his
see you for
feet, the way
sure.
that they're drawn.
Hey, there's a cat out there.
Hey, there's a cat out there.
No.
No shit, Sherlock.
Yes.
Stand perfectly still.
Everything's fine. He's headed right for us.
Don't panic. Fast or slow.
Medium. Make that fast. Very fast. I have to go now. Excuse me. I really do it.
Panic mode. Panic mode. He makes everything so much worse.
I know.
So much worse.
Oh my goodness.
So here's the thing, people. Panicking doesn't help anything.
This is why you're taught to stay calm.
And breathe.
Rabbit. Well, of all the silly nincompoops, you got yourself all worked up over a rabbit.
Jeremy needs one of our self-soothe kits.
Jeremy needs a fucking Xanax.
You were scared stiff.
All the benzos in the world for Jeremy.
You hush up.
I just say it.
Admit it.
You
were
know,
scared.
Jeremy needs a damn Xanax.
Hold still.
Look at this
If
cow.
I
Wait,
had
wait,
actually
wait,
been
wait,
near
wait.
a
I gotta go back. Sorry,
My
guys. We're gonna
brain,
rewind a little
you were
bit.
scared.
Oh, fiddlesticks.
Look at this fucking cat. This
I
cat.
have never seen a cat like this.
This cat, man. This is the most terrifying fucking cat I can imagine. I shit you not. Like, of all, I think my cats are kind of terrifying sometimes, but this cat takes the fucking cake. And I want to point out that his description, the way you see this cat here, his description in the book is actually, like, the panic laughter, is actually no less terrifying, because he's got 6 great big claws. That's how they describe his paws. Like, his paws have 6 great big curved claws, and he's got a mouthful of, like, sharp curved teeth. And so, like, this is well drawn comparative to the description. The only thing that makes the description in the book make him seem way more harmless is he's an orange fucking tabby cat.
So he's like Milo from Milo and Otis.
Yeah. So, like, he's an orange tabby in the book, not this gigantic, scary, mythical beast that he is here. And we're gonna let this play out some more, because it is just fucking terrifying. Like,
If
look
I
at
had
the way
actually
he
been near a cat,
stalks.
I'd be sneezing my brains out. See,
Those
I'm
paws
allergic
are
to
fucking
cats.
like
I'm allergic
literal
to cats.
dragon claws
I'm
from
allergic-
Myth.
Oh.
Right, look at this. Look at that shit. Look at them claws.
I'm
And he's blind in one eye, which makes it even worse.
I know.
Wait a minute, is he related to Pirate Cat from Last Unicorn?
Look at those claws. That's a good question. Is he related to Pirate Cat from The Last Unicorn?
They're drawn very similarly.
They are. So that's a Wolverine. Yes, Kai, you're right. That is a fucking Wolverine, not a cat.
The dragon, the Wolverine.
So, but here's something I want to talk about, because this is the first scene of trauma really in this movie. Is this cat. This cat is utterly terrifying. And I remember as a kid how fucking scary this cat was, especially right there in that roar where he's just like, roar, and he comes around the lawn to kill Jeremy. I was just like, oh my god.
I mean, like when he's licking like his tongue, I've never seen a cat do that has this long of a tongue that's like,
like, legit, let me pull this back just a tiny bit, because like his tongue is in his fucking eyeball.
It's ridiculous.
Where's it at? Look at that! Look at that thing! It's like right in his... I can't. I'm like trying and I like... Every time I see it, I'm like, there! It's in his damn eye! He's licking his fucking cornea! Come on! And, like, I'm sorry. I would not want that cat in my house. There's a reason why they've kicked this cat's ass out to the porch and leave him outside.
This is a barnyard cat. Just
Listen,
flat out.
I've owned plenty of barn cats in my life, and I have never met a barn cat that looked like this.
This is a barn dragon.
Not to be confused with bad dragons, right? There's
Exactly.
barn dragons, bad dragons.
Oh.
Barn dragons, bad dragons.
It's just now catching up, like from where I'm streaming. The tongue going back and forth.
I love it. I love it. But dude, this cat is fucking terrifying. I'm sorry. This cat, terrifying. Terrifying. Alright. So anyways, you know. And then Jeremy, of course, has the audacity to sneak in his face.
I'm allergic to them. I'm allergic to them.
Look at that shit. Like, that is... Do you see the fear on Mrs. Frisbee's face? That is genuine fucking terror. I'm pretty sure she pissed all over that log. I'm not kidding. If she didn't, she's got fucking balls made of steel. That's all I gotta say. Because...
It's like the horror. Oh fuck!
Right?
We're all gonna die.
Right? Exactly. Holy shit. And then the manufactured drama. This is the medicine.
Yes, but the oh man, that medicine would have been ruined.
Oh yeah, that medicine would have been fucked. Okay, you gotta give it to Jeremy right here. That is some brave fucking shit that this scaredy cat crow just engaged in. Grabbing this cat's tail and pulling. Like, he rips hair out of this cat's tail. Like,
So we could do like the whole Nicodemus. The courage of the heart is very rare.
isn't he a little lower and deeper and slower than that? Isn't he
Hey.
like, the courage of the heart is very rare? That's
You have like more sinister and gravel.
I know. I get way too sinister. But I mean, Nicodemus himself is kind of sinister.
Nicodemus terrified me.
Nicodemus scared the shit out of me. No doubts. Like, this is fucking cat, man. This is literally like non-stop, like 2 minutes of trauma from this cat alone. Like, this, if you're a kid and you saw this and this was your first introduction to cats, I would never want to own a cat in my life.
Right.
I'm just saying, like, it's like 2 minutes of non-stop cat trauma. I would never want to own a cat in my life. I'd be like, have you seen them? They're fucking murder machines. They're related to dragons. Dragons. Legitimately, I saw this thing and it was related to dragons. The first real instance of trauma is Dom DeLuise begins sweating.
Yes, Dom DeLuise.
I mean, this cat isn't even deterred by the water, though. I just want to point that out. Like, water doesn't stop this thing. This cat is, like, straight up, full-on, like, angry Maine Coon.
This cat's a boss.
It is. This cat is definitely a boss. All right, I think we're at the water mill now, and she's fine. Jeremy comes to her rescue, brings her back her pack of medicine, and takes her home. Good job.
And she tries to set boundaries with Jeremy, and he won't listen.
Oh yeah, is that part in here? Is the
Yeah.
boundary setting in here? Oh god, we'll skip ahead to that. Yeah.
Which one? Do you want the Thornbush boundary setting or the watermill boundary
The
setting?
water mill boundary.
Yeah,
setting.
it's in this one.
Oh, okay, yeah. We'll continue this media scene then, because, like, yeah. So Mrs. Frisbee, all throughout the movie, interacting with Jeremy, was always trying to set boundaries with him.
And he doesn't
He
listen.
does not listen to boundaries at all.
Hey, Miss Mouse, don't
Ever.
worry. I'm
Hey, Miss
okay.
Mouse, don't worry, I'm okay. It's fine. Look, see,
Yeah,
I'm great.
about
I'm
it.
all right.
That's not the reason I'm crying.
When you're right, you're
I
right.
lost
and
Timmy's
you're right.
medicine.
I just love that he comes in and it's not, hey, Miss Mouse, why are you crying? It's like the most narcissistic point of view. Hey, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. It's all good. I'm okay. No
It's like
empathy
he's from
whatsoever.
Jersey.
No empathy whatsoever from this fucking bird.
Don't cry.
And she's like,
I
"What's
hate to
Timmy's
see you cry.
medicine?" It is.
Was
It
I
is.
great or was
Oh, it
I-
is.
I'm like, hey, man, was I great or was
I
I great?
Great.
Hi, kitten. Yeah, hi. What you doing?
Like, yes, I'm great, Mom. Look at me.
Yeah. You want stream? Do you want to say hi to the stream? Do you want to turn around and say hi to everyone? No. Okay. All right. Where you go? No.
Yeah, he straight up has no empathy. He's in there like congratulating
Oh, no.
himself.
We don't want to say hi. Say hi to everybody. Hi. Hi.
He's like, "What the hell? Get me off of this now."
Yeah. She does. She hates it when I force her on camera.
Great. Did you see that cat
He
out
was
there
all wet
dripping and
with water.
Wet with water.
I'll
Wet
go
with
back
water.
to Mr. Aegis tomorrow.
You weren't so bad
I
yourself.
lost
Hey,
Timmy's
we make a
drugs. The
pretty good
mob is
team.
gonna kill me.
Oh, here, your drugs is back there. Nobody messes with old Jeremy boy. Nobody.
That's it. Timmy's medicine. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
It is what? It is? I mean, it is. Well, I saw it lying there, and I said, My name is Jeremy.
And
I'm
I
Mrs.
said that.
Frisbee.
My name is
Thanks
Jeremy.
again.
Nice to meet you, packet
have
of
to
shit
go
that I
home
don't know
now.
what it is.
Where's home?
In the
My name's
garden
Jeremy,
by
by the way.
the stone.
Well-
Mrs. Frisbee.
You like me?
Of course I like you. Bye now.
No, I mean, you don't think I'm clumsy or anything? What? Nope. Sorry.
And I'll
Excuse
tangled
me,
up
pardon.
again.
Yep.
Well, if you're
But she
going
was trying to
head
set
west,
boundaries there. Like, I
You've
need
got
to.
a lot to learn about how to treat a lady.
Right. When you're right, you're right. And you're right.
Like, bye
None of
now.
the girls I meet want to get serious.
I doubt they'd survive.
I just love how she's
Huh?
slowly creeping away
Maybe it's
from
my
him. Like,
approach.
Jesus Christ, I'm gonna
Hey,
get murdered by
you were a
bird.
girl once. You could
This
teach
is
me how
body
to-
language,
you know, how
people.
Behave yourself.
It's a bird 8 times the
I'm not
size of a
that
mouse
big.
trying to get.
I just need a few pointers to polish my style.
He's
You know,
trying to
Kai, when
get
I was
the
a
mouse.
kid,
Jeremy.
that's what I
I have
thought.
got
I
to
thought
go
the bird was
home.
trying to get
let me-
with Mrs.
Let me
Frisbee.
fly you home.
Frisbee.
We can talk on the way.
Yes, so did I. I thought he
No,
was totally
thank
trying to hook up with her.
I'm
as a
afraid
kid.
of heights.
Okay, then we'll walk.
Bye now.
I mean, Jeremy just has that sexual predator tension.
He does.
Oh.
And now he's just stalking her back to her
I think
house.
I got real potential. I mean,
I know,
girls go
she's
for
like,
lessons,
"Goodbye."
don't they?
Jeremy, you're stepping
Like a
on my
gazillion
head.
times.
Oh,
Goodbye. I need to leave now.
Right? He just never stops. Never stops. Even went to the point where he's stepping on her tail, and she's like, "Dude, you're stepping on my tail." Oh, am I? Oh, I'm sorry.
Excuse me, pardon. Excuse me, pardon.
Oh, Jeremy has no concept of boundaries. Just
And
what?
I mean, I have a lag where you don't, so I'm finally seeing him like stomping on these lily pads.
Tim and the fucking lily pads, man. He just could not. To save his life, could not.
It's great to be open-minded, but I'm not sure the logistics of bedroom didn't. Yeah, nope. Body parts don't compute with that.
Yeah. I have to agree with that one. Not sure how that one would work. I mean, I'm about as open-minded as they come, but that one's a little rough. I don't...
Right. I'm not sure how that's gonna work out so well.
Yeah.
And then we have Auntie Shrew that comes in.
Oh. Is she next? She is next, isn't she?
She's next, because this is when Mrs. Brisby's off with Jeremy.
Is this
Auntie Shrew. This is her histrionic, nosy curtain mafia self.
Yeah.
When we meet Martin, Cynthia, and the other.
Yeah. So this is the shrew. If you guys have forgotten who the shrew is, this is.
She terrified me too. Those teeth were ridiculous.
Right. Her teeth were something else. That's the shrew. Did she visit at? Is that the night scene that you have on here? I thought she visited during the day.
She visited at night first, and then the day is when she tied up Jeremy.
Okay. So this must be the. Oh yeah. This is post Jeremy. So this scene here is post Jeremy.
Auntie Shrew.
Right?
Maybe I should go look for more.
Martin!
Oh, Auntie Shrew. Oh, Auntie. Oh, no.
Martin's got the right response. Oh no.
Not that loud mouth.
Why is she always coming around here, poking her nose in where she's not wanted? Martin?
Thank you, child. I must speak with your mother. Your auntie is exhausted. Why me?
Post-mortem Jeremy.
That I alone should be responsible.
Yes, I
for
bet
the
you there is
welfare
Rule
of the
34
entire
of
field. It is
The
monstrous.
Secret of NIMH.
Really?
I could go find it right now.
Auntie Shrew.
Oh.
Timmy's sick.
Actually, I could do it on this. I already have a window open.
She's not here. She left you children alone then.
Bam! Already there.
What kind of mischief?
Oh my god, that is
Don't
terrifying.
fidget.
Hello,
I'm
Mrs. Frisbee, in
She went to see
poses I
Mr.
did not need to
Ages.
see.
2 ages? That old flim-flam.
Oh.
Whatever for?
Oh, wow.
Auntie Shrew.
Yeah.
Timmy's sick.
It's a very...
Patience,
Well,
my
actually, it's
pet.
not a...
Why,
I mean, there's
Timmy-
5 pages at
Timmy's
least.
sick. Timothy is very ill.
Timmy ill? How
Timmy ill?
dreadful.
I'm not afraid of the dark.
What?
I'm
He's
not
ill?
afraid of the farmer.
What?
I can't hear.
I'm not even
There it
afraid
is.
of the dragon. I'm not even
There's
afraid
the
of
terrifyingness that I
the
cannot
great
show
Will you
on
hush up?
stream.
Why, you hush up.
Precocious monster.
Saucy bullfrog.
This will be,
Spoiled
for those of you that are privy to my
Loud, loud.
Discord,
Well,
this will be in my NSFW channel
that will
on
be
Discord.
quite enough, thank
Which one are you looking under Google?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Yahoo
Not
sucks.
pearls before
Yeah, of course it
swine,
does.
I always say.
Oh no, that doesn't
And
go in the
that
pets one.
includes impudent.
There you go. That is now in my NSFW channel.
You impertinent little.
Auntie Shrew, what's going
Oh
on?
my gosh, it actually showed up on the stream.
Please, come back inside.
Not for a
Oh, God.
My
Wow.
bad. My bad,
One
Twitch.
Yes, I will speak to him.
I forgot that it was on that
Occasionally
monitor
falls
that the
frosty
media
off the
stream was
ground,
playing.
And moving days at hand. Prepare to move your very, very odd family. Good day.
Okay.
Yeah.
You never know what might be lurking around out there.
Well, welcome to the shrew.
Well, woo! Wow, they even have Jeremy and Mrs.
Yeah, that's the one I was looking for right there. But I forgot that my Google was on the media stream screen, so it was overriding the shrew. But hey, I would like to remind everybody this is a mature stream. We're totally gonna get tagged for that one at some point. Watch. We'll have to edit that. We'll have to edit that scene out. So this video will have to get edited, which we were finally not having to edit our videos, but we'll have to edit this one.
I'll just put a paste over it. I'll put a pasty on it.
I mean, we do tend to re-traumatize people when it comes to this, but there you go. That's
Sex
how.
therapist react to Rule 34.
That's the logistics of a bird and a mouse. I just want to point that out. You threw an anthropomorphic mouse on top of a bird that's, hey, I'm just giving you what you asked for. I'm just saying. We were talking about being open-minded in the logistics. I just showed you what the logistics looked like with an anthropomorphic mouse and a crow. I'm not saying that it's right, and I'm not saying that it's wrong. To each their own. Just saying.
Maybe we should have one where it's like... we were talking about ways of doing more streaming. Maybe therapists react to Rule 34.
Therapist reactions to... But you know what? My reactions would all probably be pretty tame, because they would all be like, huh. Alright. my bigger reactions are going to be to, like, things like, hey, Des, you're accidentally showing that on the stream. My bad. Alright, so anyways, now that I've traumatized the entire audience, congratulations.
This is a movie that traumatized us.
Right? And this had to do with the movie. I'm just saying. Total TOS. My bad. So anyways, moving on. Jeremy and Mrs. Frisbee, this boundary gets set a lot. We're not done yet. She still has more boundary setting to do. Then the shrew comes in. The shrew is really just annoying. She's a shrew.
Right?
In the book, she's way less annoying. She actually has a really small part in the book. In the book, she's a bit player. She's not important at all. In the movie, she actually has a little bit more importance. She comes and part of what she came for, right, was to notify Mrs. Frisbee that moving day was happening. Because of the thaw. If this stream was ever on the rails, it just took a 90-degree turn. Has this stream ever been on the rails?
What are the rails? I don't understand.
That's fair. That's fair. You know, I think we were the most on the rails when we had Tim.
Right, we actually behaved somewhat.
We did. When Tim was here for Labyrinth, which was the last one. If anybody missed it, you can go watch it or catch it on your favorite podcast service. It's up there.
It's on YouTube as well.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. It is also on Spotify. You can find us under the movies that traumatized us. But yeah, we were the most behaved when Tim was here. I just want to point that out. We were the most behaved when Tim was here.
So, if you want mild, you have to give us guess.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, if you don't want me accidentally showing Rule 34, apparently we need to have guests, because I don't do things like that when we have guests.
Crows and mice, Rule 34.
Right. Like, yeah, leave it up to me. Leave it up to me. Sorry, y'all. Sorry. Okay. Good night. Bye. It's been fun. No, Alright.
We were with Auntie Shrew and Martin, right?
Martin hates Auntie Shrew.
With good reason.
Well, yeah, because like he said, her nose is always places it doesn't belong.
Loud.
Now my brain is in Rule 34, and I was like, yes, Auntie Shrew's nose is in places it does not belong.
Which will go really well with the Shibari conversation later.
Yes. Yes, it will.
I think one of my favorite parts of this particular scene is when Martin and Shrew get into their back and forth, like a banter. Loud mouth. Obnoxious brat.
I think that is right here. Since
Timmy's sick. Timothy is very ill.
Timmy ill? How dreadful.
I'm not afraid of the dark.
What?
I'm not afraid of the farmer.
I can't hear.
I'm not even scared of Drag. I'm not even afraid of the great owl.
Will you hush up?
You hush up. Martin.
Precocious monster.
Bossy bullfrog.
Spoiled brat.
Loudmouth.
Oh, well. That will be quite enough, thank you. Cast not pearls before swine, I always say, and that includes impudent piglets. Good day.
Martin! Auntie Shrew, what's going on?
Indeed.
Please, come back inside.
Not for a king's ransom. I have just one thing to say. That child is a brat.
Yes, I will speak to him.
That child is a brat.
I love Martin.
Martin is the best of all of her children. I mean, Timothy's great, but of her children, Martin is the best. He really is precocious, and he really is, like, he's got a mouth. He ain't afraid. You gotta give it to him.
The shrew with her, like, elitist cloak.
Yes, her little
Moving
cloak flip.
day is at hand.
Yes, moving day is at hand. Screw your child. He's a brat. Bleh. Yes, exactly. That is how I feel about Shrew, too. That's the statement. That's the statement you give to the media. Listen. I don't think I can say that with a straight face. I'm gonna try to say this with a straight face. Listen. I've never been to Rule 34 a day in my life until just this moment. Did that work? That wasn't believable at all, right? Did that look as fake as it felt? It felt fake. It felt fake. Just, I tried. I had no idea what I was in for. When I typed it in, I didn't, yeah, no, that doesn't work. All right, so I give up. I am not a crook. But the whole purpose of Shrew visiting was just to tell them about moving day. Now, in the book, Mrs. Frisbee narrowly dodges getting eaten by dragon to find out that moving day is upon them. Because she comes out and she sees the farmer going into the shed and she wants to know what's going on, and so she climbs into a hole in a fence post and looks out and watches him pull the tractor out and overhears him talking about how the ground is finally thawed. And then on the way down, Dragon almost gets her. She narrowly escapes, not because Dragon was actually there to get her. Dragon had been drugged. So we'll get to the drugging of Dragon, because he's bad later. I don't feel bad for that. So it's, I mean, all things considered. I think next is the Great Owl, right?
Nope, next is when they sabotage the tractor.
Is next the sabotage of the tractor, really?
Mm-hmm.
Do we have that one in here?
We should, because that was a terrifying scene.
Tries to stop the tractor. Yes. So this scene comes up. Legit. I agree. This was a pretty terrifying scene.
That's a pretty big lie, Kai. I agree.
Wow. That's hard.
1,000 kittens committed
seppuku,
suicide.
man, because of a lie. That's just terrible. Drogon. I mean, you guys come for entertainment. Are you not entertained?
Are you gonna do 300? No, a gladiator? Are you not entertained?
Certainly can. I don't suppose you've packed.
And then you have the Emperor in the box that's like...
Chill in the air could kill him.
Well, child, that tractor surely will. For the last time, get your children
I mean...
before it's too late.
The music! The music is so just... Like, bad shit's happening.
Naked Mouse.
Was that fucking, like... That rabbit looks so much like Rabbit from Winnie the Pooh.
True.
Get out!
You know, I just noticed there's a lot of greenery here for post-winter.
Frisbee! Go get Timothy.
Please, take the children out of
Mommy,
here.
we can't leave Timmy.
Go with Andy Shrew. I've got to try and stop that thing.
Wait! You're out of your mind! Frisbee, come back!
Like, everything about this just feels sinister.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the book, this doesn't happen. In the book, he has to go get a new pin to attach the plow to the tractor.
And it'll take about a...
Yeah, and it'll take about a week. He's not able to actually plow the fields yet. You're right, Kai. He does walk around pantless. You know, at least Gadget had, you know, wore pants. I'm just saying.
Gadget wore a whole coverall
She
suit.
wore a bodysuit. And I'm sorry, but Gadget was fucking hot. You can't do otherwise.
We're
I
not
didn't
trying
watch
to.
Chippendale's Rescue Rangers for anything other than Gadget. That is why I watched that show. She is the whole reason I watched that show. I'm not even gonna lie. Just gonna throw it out there. She is the whole reason I watched that show.
How did you know that you are lesbian, bisexual, or pan? Oh, I watched Chippendale Rescue Rangers.
Come on. Come on.
Why are so many 90s kids furries?
Take your pick.
Stop it.
So, she does a thing here, right? Let's talk about this for a minute, because this is actually a really big deal. She throws herself into danger for her kids. And I mean, we all know parental instinct. I mean, a lot of us have heard tales, we all talk about it, right? Where a parent will throw themselves into harm's way to save their own children, right? I mean, I know I would do it. If it came to me getting hit by a car to save my kid, would I get hit by the car to save my kid? Yeah. Would it suck ass? Yeah, but would I think twice about it? No, I probably wouldn't. Right? Like, I can think twice about it in the hypothetical, but I know in the moment I would jump in front of that vehicle to shove my kid out of the way. And she literally, that's what she's doing here. And what this is setting up for us, I think, is the really important part. It's trying to show us very early on, you know, it's that level of foreshadowing about how brave Mrs. Frisbee really is. She constantly is denigrating herself. She doesn't think she's that strong. She doesn't think she's that brave. She doesn't think she's that capable. All she's thinking about is how she protects her children. That's the only thing she's thinking about is, what do I need to do to protect my children? She needed to stop that tractor to protect her children. She could have been run over. She could have been hit by the plow. She could have been killed, right? Any number of things could have happened right there. Now,
Which in fact, it wasn't her who stopped it. It was the shrew.
Right. But she still threw herself into the line of danger. Like, she was still willing to get into that line of fire. And this is a perfect level of foreshadow. In the book, it takes a lot longer for her to get here. In the book, she doesn't really get here until, well, actually after this, because we're about to go see the Great Owl now. Wait, is it the Great Owl now? Who tells her to go to the Great Owl? It wasn't the shrew. Is it the shrew?
Yeah, in the movie it's the shrew. In the book, I'm not sure. It might be Jeremy.
Jeremy. Book, it's Jeremy.
Yeah. In the here it's the shrew. Like, you need to see the Great Owl.
Yes. So some things were taken away from Jeremy and given to the shrew. And I think that's because they already realized how creepy Jeremy was on screen. They were trying to limit it, alleviate some of that creep factor that Jeremy had going on after he just, like, rampage stalked her across the lily pads, stepped on her tail, And
he just keeps getting creepier.
Yeah, he doesn't get better. So next she goes to see the owl. And honestly, when we get to the owl, we talk about the next level of terrifying scene here. I am looking for the owl. So this is the owl, right here. He goes to see the owl. Jeremy carries her to the owl. That happens the same in the book.
Nice evening, huh? I told you love flying.
I don't know how I let you talk me into this.
Don't thank me, Miss Briz.
At this point in the book, this is like the third time she's ridden on his
just
back.
What to do about everything.
So,
Owls
you know,
eat mice.
she...
Only after dark.
Nope, I'm not gonna make the bareback comment. I was gonna do it. Just gonna leave that there for everybody else.
But the owl is truly terrifying.
Absolutely. I ran and hid as a kid.
And then all the lead up, like the spider and the bones.
Yes. So everything about this scene, everything here. Let's stop here for a second. Everything about this particular point, the music, the artwork, the coloring that they chose, the way people talk, everything about this sets the tone very, very solidly. Like, you can already feel if you're prone to anxiety, you should already, you could probably already feel your anxiety just up from the way the music is in this scene. They do a very good job at setting everything about this is a very dangerous place for her to be. At least IMO. Maybe you guys see it a little bit differently, but this is where my brain is at with it. And I felt like, even as a kid, I was like, there's nothing good about her being here.
Right? I mean, owls eat mice. She even says it.
Right.
And those bones, you wonder what kind of animals those bones are from.
Exactly. The cobwebs, the wind.
Hello?
The
Hello?
slight echo.
Anybody home? Well, the place looks deserted. I guess we better get out of here.
Step inside my house.
No, motherfucker, I am not stepping inside your house.
He's like, no, come inside or go away.
In the book, he greets her at the entrance to the house. And he's like, if you want to talk to me, you have to come inside.
Come inside or go away.
Timothy. Remember Timothy.
So mustering courage for her children.
Right. Fun fact, the actor who voiced the owl was on pain medication the entire time.
Oh!
So, the music, all of this right here is just so well done. Now, one of the things we were talking about before we turned the stream on tonight, Kumo. This spider. Stalking her.
Spider's fucking creepy as shit.
Yes, they did such a good job with this spider. I'm just
salivating.
Yes. And its little, jowls chittering. And then the foot of the owl crushing it, just...
And then this green ooze, even though spiders don't have green ooze.
Yeah.
But...
And then creepy owl eyes, and her panic is legit right here. I think his old gnarled feet.
Mm-hmm. And they have warts. I don't understand that part.
Forgive me for disturbing you, but my son's life is in great danger. The plow has come early this year.
Move your family.
Yes, I would move, but Timothy has pneumonia. He can't even get out of bed.
You must move to a place where it'll be safe.
That part where his head's like they're upside down.
There must
Yes.
be another way.
There is no other way. I must bid you good evening,
Mrs. Brisby.
Brisby. Mrs. Jonathan Brisby?
I love how as soon as he
Why,
learns
yes.
that she's Mrs. Jonathan
my
Frisbee,
husband.
she's like,
But how do you know
everything
about
changes.
him?
Oh, them fucking
That
eyes.
is not important.
Mrs.
I will
Jonathan
say this.
Brisby.
His name is not unknown in these woods.
Please, sir. I'll do anything to save Timmy. Anything.
She's almost in tears.
There
Mhm.
is a way.
She's legit probably having a panic attack right here,
Oh
or an
yeah,
anxiety.
there's
But I
no
don't
way.
know any rats.
In the rose bush.
I mean, that's like a shark coming up to us with its mouth open and not
Go
biting
there.
us.
Right?
Ask for Nicodemus.
Nicodemus. But how can they help?
They must move your house to the lee of the stone.
No rat could move my house. It's...
They have
Welcome
ways.
back.
I don't know. But I will do as you say.
Fucking Spectrum.
Night. I must go.
Not winning any favors. He's got that creepy limp too.
Remember.
Do what?
He has that creepy limp.
Lee of the stone.
Oh yeah, because he's old. In the book, he talks about dying in the tree.
Well, okay, so in the book, he talks not only about dying in this tree, but he talks about how long he's lived in this tree, how old this tree is, how when the wind blows, he can hear the roots of the tree breaking, and he knows that one day the tree is gonna fall, and he's too lazy to move because he doesn't want to find a new home, so he knows he'll fall with the tree.
He doesn't want to battle all the young owls for the tree or any other creatures that are in there.
Right. He just wants to do his thing because he knows he's old and he knows he's lived a long life and you know. But honestly, the owl like was super terrifying when I was a kid.
Yes, completely terrifying.
Like everything about him, from the way he moves, like he's got those weird jerky movements, to all of the cracking, his weird like creepy owl eyes that glow.
Right, and I thought the spider webs were like smoke when I was a kid. Like smoke just came off his feet and stuff.
Yeah.
And then realized that they're actually spider webs.
I never thought about that. I mean, as a kid, I realized they were spider webs, but yeah, I could totally see that. They did such a great job. And that's one of the things, like, I know we've talked about it before. We know that I love good practical effects and I love really good animation. And this is another one of those instances where good animation makes this scene. Everything about this is so terrifying, not just because of the music and the coloring, but the way they animated the owl. He's animated, I would say, almost completely different than any other creature in the movie.
Except for Nicodemus.
Yes, except for, yeah, you're getting a little bit of reverb back through Nicki's.
Sorry.
Yeah, Valkyr. Yeah, when it all collapses, oh well. And that's the thing, the owl just kind of felt that way in the book. And you don't get it so much here, but you definitely see how frightening this owl is. In the book, he didn't seem nearly as frightening, but you knew he was supposed to be frightening. Here you see it. You can, it's almost palpable. Like you can, the tension is there in the music and the way they animated everything. The cobwebs are so wispy in the way that they flow and they move. And then just the way he walks and the crunching sounds and everything that he makes as he's moving through the scene. I think she's trying to adjust her game there. You know, it just makes such a big difference in the way it's animated that leads to the sheer level of fear, of anxiety, of and like that's what makes this owl traumatizing, honestly. It's just all of those factors combined leave you with that sense of dread.
Right. It's just that whole, the way that they colored it, the dark, really dark muted colors, the everything, how they did the wispy, the cobwebs, the squishing of the spider, and, you know, all of basically Mrs. Frisbee's panic attack. Like, you could see her emotions. Like, all of it.
Yeah, just that whole, like... She just, that level of terror that she shows. And it's not the first time. She shows it several times in the movie. Like, she has that really, like, heavy, palpable terror face. And you know she's scared. Like, from that moment with Dragon to this moment with the owl. And we're going to see it again here in a minute because she's about to go to the rose bush. And we're going to meet... I think probably one of the scariest and most sinister moments with the rats all combined, except for towards the end and when we meet Nicodemus. Because we're going to meet this lovely rat. Right here. And this rat is just unrelenting in the movie when she...
But Brutus or Jenner?
Brutus. Yeah, definitely Brutus. And I think that one is here because I know there's a rosebush one in here. Mrs. Brisby goes to the rosebush. Yeah. So when we look at this... She approaches the rosebush. This is where the owl tells her to go. Go meet the rats. So she heads off to meet the rats.
And this is her second time setting boundaries with Jeremy.
Yes. Yes.
And you see her manipulation.
Yeah. Well, doesn't that happen before this? Or is it after?
No, it happens at the rosebush.
Oh, okay. So she wanders in, and this place again, we get back to exactly what we were talking about before. These dark muted colors. Like... And then we get these extra added effects, right? The flashing lights, the lightning, the haunting music, the weird living vines. Everything that you could possibly want to make this even just the tiniest bit creepier is here. And this is one of the things where the movie deviates a lot from the book. The rats have electricity in the book. I forgot about that scene. But not to the level that they have it here. Here, everything they have is a little more mystical, a little more magical, a little more unexplained. I do like this imaging of the pathway to the arch that she goes to.
Right.
In the book, you assume it's like basically a stone path. This makes it look a lot more fairy tale.
Right, it makes, yeah.
So part of what the movie does... Oh yeah, that scene right there.
Hello. I'm Mrs. Frisbee. I was told to see Nicodemus. Are you Nicodemus? Please. I need help.
You can see, like, all the found objects that they strung up everywhere.
Right? Like, I just, like, as a kid, I was scared here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Brutus scared me.
Yeah. I was like, oh shit.
Like,
but his eyes look, like, his eyes are blank and...
Like, got the electric staff. Like, he legit is gonna kill her.
Uh-huh.
Who goes there?
And in the book, he's so derpy in the book.
He is. In the book, he's
What
a
are you
lot...
doing
He
here?
talks to her in the book.
Oh, thank
But she
goodness.
does run away from him in the book, and he just keeps following her. and she meets
Clothes
Mr.
come early
Ages.
to the field.
Well, you had better march straight back out the way you came.
I can't bring Timothy out.
Except that Mr.
They're
Ages
killing
doesn't
the
try to
owl,
dismiss
killing
her and
That's
send her
another
away
matter.
in
That
the
doesn't
book.
explain what you're doing
And
here.
that big rat chased me
Because
away.
she met the
But I
litmus
must
test
see
of going to the
Nicodemus.
owl.
The owl
Right.
told me to see Nicodemus.
Oh, yes, perhaps you should... the owl said? Here now, what owl? What are you talking about?
I went to see the great owl.
The owl? You say you saw... the owl?
Yes. And he said I should ask for Nicodemus.
Yes, I know Nicodemus.
He lives with the rats.
More specifically, is the leader of the rats.
You know him?
No one has ever seen the owl and lived to tell about it.
Please, could you take me to see Nicodemus?
I love how he's just like, no one sees the owl and lives.
Right?
Yes.
Well, I did.
For your sake, I hope you're telling the truth.
Obviously, Mr. Ages, that is not true.
What about
People
the
see
large
the owl
rat
and
at
live.
the entrance? I can't go back there. I can't.
Oh, that's just Brutus. Follow me. Well, come on.
So the movie also, I don't think, explains how Mr. Ages broke his leg.
I think they did like a really quick snippet, but you don't catch it unless you're actually listening for it.
So, but that might be the case. Like, they must explain it like a little further in after she meets Nicodemus and all of them. Yet Brutus is just scary. I mean, everything about let's look at this picture again, you know, of Brutus. Everything about him here is just kind of terrifying, and they do a good job. So I was mentioning this earlier, actually, and we didn't actually get to get onto the subject of it. But right before we started the stream, we were talking about how red is such a prominent color in this movie. Everywhere you look in this movie, in almost every scene, there's these orangish red overtones. You can go back to the owl here in his eyes. You can go back to the shrew here in the background. We can go back to...
Even when they're flying to the owl, it's
the
red.
Frisbee kids back here in the background. You see these pinkish hues and these reds coming in from the back. We can look at pictures of dragon. These backgrounds are these all these old orangey red overtones. Do I have... And that's just a bunch of little stills, but you can still see it even here, like her red cape. This nice muted golden color that's coming off the book. We'll get to that here in a minute anyways. And we haven't talked about Jenner yet, but even here with Jenner, you can see it. His backgrounds are these muted oranges and this red, you know, and even his cape, you know, even though this is pink is really just light red. So, like, everywhere in this movie, there's these heavy red overtones and undertones that are just kind of scattered all throughout. And, you know, symbolically speaking, red is power. Red can also be representative of things like courage and strength. But it can also be sinister when it's tied with other things, right? Especially music or the way emotions are displayed. And so they do this really good job of color coding what's happening in the movie by using red. It's all over. And it's part of what adds to the kind of underlying continued trauma that happens throughout the movie, because even in scenes that aren't all that traumatic, you still have these little moments of, like, tiny implied trauma. And that might be hard to understand, but they're kind of there. Let's look at Jenner for a second, right? He looks, by the way, a lot like Ratigan, if you guys know who Ratigan is. It's one of the things that really kind of bothered me when I actually took a hard look at Jenner and realized that. But just this scene, color sets the stage. It's not just Jenner's, like, face. It's not just how sinister his eyebrows are with the deep arches and the narrow eyes and the sharp pointy teeth and the curled sneer, right? It's the red. The red brings the rest of it out, and it makes everything sort of pop on the scene. And so it really gives it the rest of that underlying tone that you're looking for to induce kind of a almost anxious fear state. But that's going into like the deep symbology of everything. And I only bring it up because it was something we were talking about beforehand, because red is everywhere in this movie. And now that I've pointed it out, you're probably going to see it a lot more. We get into the rats, so you're going to see a lot of blues and greens. In fact, we get into the villain green while we're... And if you guys know anything about old Disney movies, there is this villain green color, right? That all the villains have. We're going to have some villain green coming up here, but it also helps set the stage for those moments that are supposed to be scary and ominous and dark. So Mr. Aegis comes in, and now he's no longer dismissive. Now Mrs. Brisby has something that makes Mr. Aegis suddenly stop being his curmudgeon-y, dismissive asshole that he is, because he's like, wait a minute, you went to see the Great Owl? Are you kidding me? You went to see the Great Owl, and no one sees the owl and lives. But clearly not the case. And so suddenly he's thrown into this predicament where he has to be like, well, wait, now you're important. And now that has suddenly had her status elevated, he's like, whoa, come with me, come with me. You know, don't worry about the rest of this tomfoolery. Don't worry about these other people. Just come with me. We're gonna go see Nicodemus. And I believe that takes us to the Jenner and Justin scene, right?
It should, because they're having the meeting.
Yeah. So, Mr. Aegis leads her on down into the kingdom of the rats and takes her into the meeting room, where they're holding this meeting to discuss the plan. And this is the part where Mrs. Brisby's balloon is now expanding into the story of the rats, right? Because the rats have had their story happening all this time around us. We just weren't privy to it. And now her balloon is expanded into their space and is overlapping. And so that's what we get into with this.
Your affair. Now, to what you are about to see and hear, you must swear absolute secrecy.
Yes, I understand.
Swear it.
I promise.
That also happens in the book. Mr. Aegis makes her promise to secrecy before he takes her in.
To blow the place apart.
Is it always so dark?
We're down 3 feet.
It's the most beautiful sight I've ever seen.
Reveal thy name. Justin, you featherhead. Get your hands off me.
Okay, just a joke. I didn't mean any
I
harm.
love Justin.
The meeting's already in progress.
What's this all about?
Who may I ask?
Oh, yes, she can be trusted. This is no stranger. My dear, may I present Justin, the captain of the guard. Justin, Mrs. Brisby.
Not Mrs. Jonathan Brisby.
Yes, the same.
It is an honor and a privilege, my lady.
If we could dispense with the formalities.
I love how reverent.
Ma'am?
Those dreamy eyes
They're
that she
quite
makes
lovely.
at him.
Yes, they are. We've had electricity for 4 years now.
5.
Jonathan often spoke of electricity.
But you see, our shame is that we're stealing it from Farmer Fitzgibbons.
Steal?
All of that is going to change.
He means we're working on a plan.
I mean that we have a plan, and this stealing will stop. Now, oh yes, well, why did you send for me?
It's Jenner. He's at it again.
There blows
So
no
none of
wind.
this in the book was quite
Before the
this
council
elaborate.
now.
There was an
This time
elevator.
he's
There were
attacking
also
Nicodemus
stairs.
openly.
They took the
And
elevator because
Nothing
the
will
stairs would have
It'll
been too
pass.
much for Mr.
Beware,
Aegis
boy,
to take with the broken
he's
leg.
dangerous.
But this really does
Maybe I'm doing
convey
too
a
much.
lot about how technologically advanced the rats actually are. And the book does it through good storytelling, you get an idea of how smart they are. But the way the book tells it wouldn't convey it so well on
sweet
screen.
lady, you are welcome here.
So it's really good that they did it
tend
this
to
way,
take
even though it
ourselves a
seems
little too
far-fetched and you have to suspend your disbelief for it even more than you already are.
It almost feels like that the water part is going in the well.
Right?
Nicodemus would have us destroy this colony only to lead us to starvation in some wilderness.
Good old Jenner.
Wait. Listen.
Moving to Thorn Valley is a good plan. Fine. We have everything we need right here.
Oh, I didn't notice the grain storage light before.
Yeah.
That was a sign.
Yeah. Even though they didn't pass grain storage for much later, till much later in the book.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, these aren't even on the same level in the book.
Them first.
Right.
We'd be outnumbered. There are too many of them. Hear me. The Thorn Valley plan is the aspiration of idiots and dreamers. We were just talking about.
Justin's just like, whatever, old man, just go inside.
Jenner, usually you're screaming about us.
Who is that? You know the rules. There are no visitors allowed here.
May I present Mrs. Jonathan Brisby?
Jenner with his flowing cape.
She's not one of us. What's the meaning of this?
Send her away. Let's get back to business.
Wait. She has been to see the great owl. He has told her that we could move the Brisby home to safety.
Her home was Jonathan's home.
We have urgent problems of our own. Let the lower creatures fend for themselves.
Order!
Wait, my friend. I smell an opportunity.
What?
Maneuvers of this nature are dangerous. Accidents could happen.
Accident?
Jenner? I'll explain later. Mrs. Brisby, 1,000 pardons, my dear. Forgive the ill temper of my colleague. It would be an honor to assist Jonathan's widow in any way. We are but your humble servants.
You know, he's very Scar right there.
Mm-hmm.
When he's saying that, like, I just picture Scar at that moment where he's got his paws latched into Mufasa and he's like, "Long live the king." He throws him back down into the valley to get trampled by fucking wildebeests. But, so, obviously, the muted reds are all throughout this from the very beginner. Yeah, exactly, Kai. Lower creature, yes. They very, again, dismissive of everyone that's not them. So, I think that one of the big things that's missing from the movie that's in the book is the backstory on Jenner.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of want to cover that for a minute before we move on, even though it also partially requires some level of introduction to Nicodemus. In the book, Jenner is not here. Nicodemus is here, they're talking about all of this, and there's no argument. There's none of this dismissive panel of, like, we shouldn't go to Thorn Valley. In the book, what happened is Jenner and some separatists, 6 other rats, leave. They abandon the Thorn Valley idea, and they abandon all of the rats, and they go set out on their own. Jenner also is the best friend of Nicodemus. And this was a point that Nicodemus and Jenner did not agree on. Jenner wanted to stay here in the Rosebush. He didn't want to go to Thorn Valley because life here at the Rosebush is easy. They have electricity, they have water, they have food, they have everything that they need. And the hitch to all of that is what starts the plan is that the rats are smart enough to know that they're stealing, and Justin sets that up, talking about how, you know, their shame is that they're stealing. The rats know they're stealing, and they don't want to steal, and part of that comes from the fact that how they feel society views rats has to do with the fact that rats steal food. They steal scraps, they steal space, they steal all of this. Now, anybody that knows me IRL knows that I absolutely love rats. They're some of my favorite creatures on the whole planet. They're super fucking intelligent. If you don't know about rats, please learn. They're awesome creatures. They love to be loved. They're actually super clean despite our belief systems about rats. But that's a tangent for another time. My point here is that they don't want people to continue to see rats as bad. So they want to show that rats can do stuff on their own, that they don't need to steal to make it. That's what the plan is about. Jenner doesn't want to do that because it goes against the fact that everything that they have right now is very easy, very simple. Everything is here. Running water, amenities, right? It's all about amenities. None of us like to be without our amenities. That's what Jenner doesn't want. He doesn't want to have to start over. He doesn't want to work hard. He doesn't want to have to do hard labor. He wants his easy amenities.
Right, and it even says in the book that Jenner's smarter than Nicodemus.
Yes. So in the book, Nicodemus acknowledges that Jenner is smarter than him. And that Jenner was, in a lot of ways, other than... Justin is the smartest in the book. And even in the movie, you kind of learn that Justin is really the smartest of all of them. He was the first rat that was able to do a lot of the things that all of the other rats were later able to do. Justin figures things out faster and quicker than almost everybody else. Beside the point, though, it is important to note from the book to here that Nicodemus does say, yes, Jenner is smarter than me. Jenner knows a lot. Jenner figured things out very quickly. He understood things better. Even before they became enhanced by NIMH, Jenner was in a better position. But Jenner is obviously a sinister dickhead. So, from this point on, you know, there's nothing sinister about this other than Jenner. And there's nothing traumatizing that happens here. But you get the feeling that Jenner is not a good person, right? We all know this. And next we go to Nicodemus, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. I am looking for that scene.
And the mystical, all-seeing eye.
Yes, like, this is the shit. I got Nicodemus's death. There's Jenner's plan.
It might be Mrs. Brisby learns about the rats of NIMH.
Knows the story?
Yeah.
That one? Okay. So, this then should be meeting Nicodemus. Well, this is a little after meeting Nicodemus.
It might be at the end of the clip with Jenner then.
Would it be Jenner's plan? Not the best. This is obviously a portrait rendering of Nicodemus. But I don't feel like this gives you the sense of the feeling of Nicodemus that Nicodemus really brings to the scene when he comes into the story. So we'll go with the knows too much clip. Which is this one. So, part of this, like, in the book, the rats don't have this level of mystical tech. But, again, in the movie, this really helps set the stage for how intelligent the rats are. Also, in the book, Nicodemus is not old.
Right.
He's much younger.
He's like a middle-aged rat in the book.
And he also has an eye patch.
Yes.
Now, this is a little bit the story of how they were captured in the book.
And NIMH stands for National Institute of Mental Health.
They were put through the most unspeakable tortures to satisfy some scientific curiosity. Often at night, I would hear them crying out in anguish. 20 rats and 11 mice were given injections.
Now, in the book, it's 40 rats and 13 mice.
Mm-hmm.
But there's 60 rats total, but there's one control group, a group B and a group A. And all of the rats in NIMH are gray.
I think the mice are group G.
Yeah, the mice are So I love the music build-up.
One night, I looked upon the words under the cage door, and understood.
Yeah, the book didn't make the changes as traumatic as...
No. Now, also, interestingly enough, Nicodemus is telling the story, and he says one night he looked under the door and he could read the words, and he knew to lift the latch and, lift the latch and pull. And that's actually something that Justin did. Justin, after several times of being taken out and given injections, and they had already at this point been learning to read because of the experiments that they were being put through, Justin figured out how to open his cage door. He was the first rat to let himself loose. He was the first rat to explore and go out and about, and also, basically recognize the words underneath the thing. Now, it's Jenner who clues them in that they're in a laboratory, and that this is the rat holding room.
Right. And I thought the book was interesting on how they said how they learned how to read. Like, the shapes.
Yes, okay, so, yeah, in the book, how it's described is that they were shown a picture, right? And, like, then the person would say to them over and over, like, if they showed them the R, they would say R, 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 R. And then they would show the A, and they'd be like, A, 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 A. And then they'd show them the T, and it's the same thing over and over, right? And then eventually they would show them a picture and then put the word underneath the picture after having shown them these letters so that they would get rat. And so, like, that's how they describe them learning how to read in the book, because, after all, words are just a thing to help us picture something in our mind, right? Like, a word for rat teaches us to see a rat in our mind, which is really kind of how it works at some level, though I'm sure SLP would tell me, no, that's not right either, but, that's beside the point. So, but you're right, it was really interesting how they did that. And the way that they got all of this done in the book was way less traumatic than just even here, but it's the flashing lights and the intense music and the color shifting that really makes it intense here. Not quite traumatizing, but definitely intense.
I think it was traumatizing for the rats.
Definitely traumatizing for the rats.
The miracle was kept secret from the scientists, and in the quiet of the night, we escaped through the ventilation system.
Interesting. So they included all of the elements here that were from the book. The string, the ventilation duct. This is not how they got in. It was actually like a push duct that you, like, the old floor vents where you could change the direction of the airflow by rolling the little thing and it would move the vent. It was that kind of a vent that they pushed open and they crawled into. But they did take a screwdriver in with them along with this thread to help them find their way around, and they would tie one end of the thread to the screwdriver so it was unmovable, and then they would go until the spool ran out until they learned their way through the air ducts so that they could find their way out. That's from the book. Obviously, we're condensing it for the movie and making it, its own thing.
The mice were blown away. Sucked down dark air shafts to their deaths. All except two, Jonathan and Mr. Ages. We were trapped by a locked door on the roof. It was Jonathan who made possible the unlocking of the door.
So that's also partially true from the book. But they all blew away. They didn't know if the mice died, but that happened when they reached the point where they were locked behind this door. That's where they got blown away. And it was Jonathan and Mr. Ages who go out and find that there's a latch holding it closed, and Jonathan and Mr. Ages spring them and open the door and make it so everybody can get away. Just want to clarify that. Not that it matters, but again.
I have a gift. Come. Jonathan meant it for you.
I feel sad because we don't have, like, the weird villain green that comes when Nicodemus first comes on scene. And his, like, hands and, like, his eyes. Because Nicodemus was downright fucking terrifying
He's terrifying here, too.
I mean, I guess, but not to the level he was when he first shows up and, like, he's got all of that, like, villain green fog around him and, like, his hands are coming in and his eyes are glowing and, like, you have that moment where you're just like, damn. Damn.
I mean, I can try to pull it if you want real quick.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's just definitely one of those things that, like, Nicodemus scared the piss out of me when I was a kid. Like, like that beginning scene with him, like, it was just terrifying for me. But one of the things that I want to point out, and I know we talk about it a lot in each one of the movies where we talk about endings, and this ending is no different, but the way they do it here is kind of interesting because they hit you with all of these traumas, and they do it pretty close together. It seems really spread out because of the way we talk about things and the way we jump around, but a lot of this stuff happens pretty quickly. I mean, the movie as a whole was, what, 120 minutes?
Yeah, it wasn't a very long movie at all.
And, I mean, I don't even know if it was 120 minutes. I think it might have been even less than that, if I want to be entirely honest. An hour and 22 minutes. So, yeah, it's not a long movie. And, you know, so they hit you very quickly. A lot of these trauma scenes happen pretty close together, like back to back to back. Like, we go right from the owl, we have a brief reprieve, and then we go into the rose bush with Brutus. And then we go from Brutus down to the scene with Jenner, and then right into this, like, terrifying moment with Nicodemus, and we start to learn the truth about things. And then we go from this scene with Nicodemus back outside to Jeremy, and we have a little bit of lighthearted interaction and laughter, and then we get to the next scene with this crazy fucking Wolverine cat. Just saying, I don't know how else to describe this cat. And I do believe that's the risks her life for her children clip.
Yes, she goes into Drug Dragon.
Yes, I think that's the one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's not the Stop the Tractor. So, I don't think I have the bush. No, this is the Shibari clip. Where is it?
Yes, the Shibari clip.
Goes to the rose bush. Stop the tractor. Story. That's meeting Jeremy. Is it the sparkly scene? Or is it the lullaby for Timothy scene?
No, it's the... It might be the I Love Kids.
Ah! Yes. Yes, it might be that one right there.
Oh! Where do you live?
I know it's in here.
The garden. Just
this is when she's about to go into
Not
the
to worry,
rose
Mrs.
bush.
Biz. I love kids, and kids love me. Kids love me, and I love kids. Oh, I love the kid and the kid. With the kid, the
Dragon, you lazy kitty. Go catch some of those rats out in the barn. Never seen a cat sleep so much.
It wasn't that one, but that was... She does try to set boundaries with Jeremy in that scene, but we didn't see it. It wasn't a big enough clip for that.
I thought I had the Shibari scene.
Well, we have the Shibari. We have an image of it still.
YouTube failed me.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. So, this is a half-hearted scene where the shrew has Jeremy tied up, and I shit you not, I assume everybody out there knows what Shibari is. If you don't, please look up Two Naughty Boys, and you can find out. And it's just, you know, what? I'm just gonna say, it's a good book. Especially if you want to learn Shibari, it's a good beginner's book. Two Naughty Boys.
It's rote play.
It is, right. So anyways, she ties him up, and she trusses his ass up well. Her knots are good. I'm just gonna say that. She literally, she's about to tie, in this scene right here, what you don't see, she's about to tie a loop, throw it around his mouth, and pull it, and he's done. She literally then only has one more rope that she could pull on, and she would string him up like a fucking hammock. Like, I kid you not. The thing, though, that's terrifying about the whole Shibari scene here is that the kids come out, and they literally know how to undo it with no effort. That makes me a little worried.
And then Martin does a tickle torture scene on Jeremy.
Yes, that's right. He does do a tickle torture scene on Jeremy after that. So, you know, which then throws a little more creepy onto the whole I love kids, kids love me, I love kids, kids love me. Just saying, guys. Go back to Kai's, you know, statement earlier there in chat about Louise being the ultimate trauma in here. I'm starting to think you might be right. I hadn't noticed it. Now I'm like, maybe he's
But like
right.
the banter between Martin and Shrew could also be she's teaching him how to be a dominant.
Right? Legit. She could be teaching him how to be a dom. You're right. That is very true. Why the Shrew is teaching Martin how to be a dom, I don't know, and I'm not sure I want to know. We did have this discussion when we watched the movie. It's very obvious that his sisters are not doms. But hey, you know.
But Martin is. Oh, and by the way, Martin is voiced by Will Wheaton.
Oh, yeah, that's right. In case you guys didn't know that. Will Wheaton, yes, Will Wheaton is voicing Martin. Totally knocked us for a loop when we saw that. We did not quite realize that Will Wheaton was the voice of Martin, and we actually went down the rabbit hole to find out for sure that it was the Will Wheaton who voiced Martin.
Wasn't this like one of his first credits?
Yeah, it's like way down on the list, but yeah, it's like one of his first credits. I think he only had like 2 or 3 things before it.
Yeah, we went down the IMDb rabbit hole.
Yeah, we definitely hit the IMDb rabbit hole to find out about Will Wheaton voicing Martin in this movie. Because I don't know how that has escaped me all these years, that Martin was voiced by Will Wheaton.
Well, he sounds like a kid in this movie, because he was a kid.
Well, legit, yeah. But still, like, I just feel like it's something I would have thought of. Like, but it's not. It never dawned on me that I didn't ever put 2 and 2 together that Martin Will Wheaton's voice was actually Will Wheaton. So, you know, props to Will Wheaton on that one. Just saying. You know.
When Wesley Crusher was a mouse.
I have to forgive you for that. Of all the comparisons you could have made, why Wesley Crusher?
Because that's the biggest role.
I don't know if that's his biggest role anymore. Is it
Not
really?
anymore.
Yeah, no. Yeah. But, yes. Yeah, it's hard for me to imagine that Wesley Crusher, Will Wheaton, is Martin Will Wheaton. Like, it's very hard for my brain to put that together. So, you know, just in case all of you wanted that little bit of trivia, this one
now
right
you know.
here. That one right there. Will Wheaton, now you know, and knowing is half the battle. So, just saying. So after this, we move into the rats coming to move. Well, no. We go to Dragon.
Yeah, we go to Drugging Dragon.
Yeah, we go to Drugging Dragon. Which is in here. I know we have that clip. I saw that one as one of the clips we have in here. Right? Was I wrong?
I don't know. Apparently all the ones I wanted to get, I did not get.
Great Owl, Mr. Ages. Risks our life for our children. Is it that? Wait, that's the... Is that it?
Nope, that's when she goes to the stone.
Okay. That's the mirror. Wow, do we not have that one? Okay, I guess not.
Well, I did really good.
That's okay. So, from this, Mrs. Brisby is about to do the biggest thing, and this sets up another whole scene. It's not... I don't know that I thought this scene was quite as traumatizing as the first scene with Dragon, but Mrs. Brisby has to enter into the house, into the farmer's house, and she's got to go drug Dragon's food. And this is how she lost her husband. And she just learned that this is how she lost her husband. Nicodemus and Mr. Ages just told her that Jonathan died doing this exact thing that she's about to do. And after she learns that, she volunteers to go and do it. And honestly, you gotta hand it to the girl. That's some stones.
And then she gets caught.
She gets captured. She gets captured and thrown into a dead canary's cage.
Yep. And, like, I think the most notable... Well, there's a couple notable things about this scene, is she learns about NIMH is coming to go through the rose bush in the next day or so.
Right. Right.
And she cuts herself on that wire, which...
Yes. Yes. So, yeah, some things do happen in this scene. And it is important to note, this is where she learns that NIMH is coming to the house. Now, this sets a whole nother level up. As an adult, it sets another level up. As a kid, it's no big deal. You're like, oh, so they're coming to the house. As an adult, you know what that means. Like, your brain can put all of those pieces together. And, you know, the rats escaped from NIMH. Now NIMH is coming to claim them. In the book, it's even worse. Because they're not just coming to get the rats. They're coming to kill them. In the movie, they set it up like they're coming to recapture them. In the book, they make it very clear they're coming to exterminate them. They're bringing cyanide gas, and they are going to gas the rats because they don't want their experiment out in the world. Which, I gotta say, when rereading the book and that part of the book, I was like, that's fucking kind of terrifying. Like, imagine if they had done that whole scene in the movie... Honestly, I could spend my entire time talking about the trauma of that scene. So one of the other things that I think it's important that we get to at this point, because the movie doesn't shy away from this, and or I shouldn't just say the movie, Don Bluth doesn't shy away from talking about the hard topics. And what's the hard topic here? One of the hard topics that we've hit on is death. You know, we talk about the death of Jonathan Brisby, and you see... the sadness, and you can feel it when Nicodemus is telling her that, you know, this is how Jonathan died. And we're gonna get to another piece of death here in a second, that really kind of continues that theme.
Yeah, Don Bluth really highlights death in a lot of his movies, and he believes that children, we don't need to talk to them and dumb stuff down for them. They need to learn about these things, like American Tail. First thing that starts out with is everyone died in this mouse ghetto.
Right. It starts out with tragedy. Look at Land Before Time.
All dogs go to heaven. Land Before Time.
Yeah, all of these movies done by Bluth really highlight. It was one of the things we talked about when we finished watching The Secret of NIMH. Was that all of these movies done by Don Bluth really highlight these insane moments of just, like, how he throws it right to the forefront and says, look at, like, this is a thing. Death is a very real part of life. You can't go through and sugarcoat it and be like, oh, she didn't die. The prince can wake her up with a kiss.
It's the same thing with, like, the cat can eat you and kill you.
Right.
Like, it's real. Same thing with the owl can kill you.
Right. Like, he doesn't try to shy away from this. And that in and of itself, right, is another level of trauma that you're introduced to that you don't realize you've been introduced to. All these scary things, like, you know, as a kid, I guarantee you I could show this to my daughter this weekend and let her watch this movie. She'd be like, the owl's gonna eat the mouse. As a kid, you were worried that the owl was gonna eat the mouse. Even if you don't think you were now, trust me, as a kid, you were thinking the owl's gonna eat the mouse. I know I was. I was like, oh my god, the cat's gonna kill the mouse. The cat's gonna kill the bird. Like, I mean, that's just a very real thing. Like, and kids are literal, right? So when a kid is watching this movie, and this is why these are the movies that traumatized us, right? These literal things are happening. Like, and as a kid, you don't have the room in your brain yet to take the literal out of the artistic. You see the literal for what it is. And, you know, in that moment, you fear for those animals on screen, regardless of how real or not they are. You have that innate, holy crap, they're gonna die.
Yeah.
You know, that was like my big thing when like the Star Wars re-releases, right? 4, 5, and 6, you know, or 4. Let's just talk about 4. Obi-Wan is alive. We know Darth Vader kills Obi-Wan, right? 1, 2, and 3. Nothing. You couldn't set that scene up in the fight with Darth Maul where Obi-Wan looked like he was gonna die and make it scary because why? We already knew Obi-Wan was alive. We know he doesn't die here. You can't create a tension that you already know doesn't exist. But in the movie, in this context, you don't know what's happening. You don't know that Jeremy is going to make it farther than that log. You don't know that Mrs. Brisby is necessarily going to make it beyond the owl. So that's the very literal, real. Wow, I got pushed off the screen again. That's the very literal, real trauma that you deal with when you're a kid and you're looking and you're watching these shows. So just something to keep in mind. So next we get to Jenner's plan. I think is the next one on this clip list that we want to watch.
The Jenner's plan, or is it the Sparkly?
It's the Sparkly.
When Jeremy's just being really rapey about the Sparkly.
Oh yes, it is the Sparkly. She's coming back with this gift that Nick and Dennis gave her.
Excuse me. Pardon me.
Jeremy?
I'm being followed.
Followed?
There's a crazy lady with a hat. She's got big teeth. She tied me up. And then ooh, a Sparkly.
What?
I mean,
he's
super rapey.
He is super rapey.
Please, can I?
Jeremy, listen. I need lots and lots of string.
String.
To move the block.
Move the block. Hey, I've got strings. I've been saving them.
You do?
Oh, sure. Red ones, blue ones, green, yellow.
Pay attention. Go get all the string you can.
Okay. That'll take all day.
Good. Get going.
I just thought I'd mention in passing. I've always wanted a Sparkly.
Oh, it's so rapey.
Will you get going?
Sure. Excuse me.
Just the fact that he like comes out of the water disguised as a lily pad.
It's just the fact that he jumps up on her there at the last second and he's like, I just wanted you to know, I always wanted a Sparkly.
I know, right?
He's just like hanging over the top of her, like dripping on her, and it's just like, it gives me like my skin is still crawling.
Dripping on her all wet with water.
As he ASMRs her to death about wanting a Sparkly.
Right.
I mean, he literally is just like, I want you to know, I always wanted a Sparkly.
This is when she needs to like nut check a crow. I don't even know if crows have nuts.
Right? Like, she needed to do something. Like,
I mean, on that earlier picture, he had nuts. But you know.
I mean, that picture was never supposed to grace the screen. Legit accident. Come on, let me live it down. Let me live this one thing down. Somebody's gonna come across this and, like, be like, oh, that's a report. We're gonna come back and it's gonna be like, hey, Harmony Geek Therapy, you've been banned for 24 hours. Ain't nobody to blame there but me.
Well, I mean, that's okay, because we really only stream every once in a while, so...
But still, it's a total accident, I swear, it really was. Totally
I believe it was an accident.
It was on my media screen, otherwise I would have moved it and not had it on my media screen.
It was a Freudian slip.
Yes, exactly. It was a Freudian slip. That is correct. Thank you very much, Freud, for giving me an out. I appreciate you, mate. But okay, so all that aside, you know, it's really weird. I'm just gonna point this out as a random thing, but I've noticed that my blue light has gotten more intense as the night has gone on. I'm not really sure why.
You need to talk to Alexa about that.
I know it's kind of weird. Like the blue light has definitely gotten more intense as the night is drawn on. So anyway, so rapey Jeremy scene, and then we. Thanks, Valkyr. And then we go to is it the We Know Too Much, or is it Jenner's? It's Jenner's plan, right?
It was Jenner's plan.
Alright, so this is the next piece. This is Jenner's.
I don't get it. With Nicodemus out of the way, what's to stop us from taking over?
Jenner, you can't kill Nicodemus.
No taste for blood, huh? They've taken the animal out of you.
What if we're discovered?
Listen, the Brisby house is a large cement block. In the moving, what if it should fall?
An accident?
Of course. Cut the lines.
Grant, what are you doing?
The weight of it will crush his bones.
It's risky.
Once rid of Nicodemus, the plan will die. We can stay here as long as we like.
What about Justin?
Leave him to me.
I didn't realize they did that weird echo right there.
Mm-hmm.
I totally missed that when we were watching the movie. That just adds to the level of, like, creepy right there, where he's talking about killing... You know, in the movie you don't know it, but, like, knowing it now, like, dude, you're talking about killing your best friend. Just because you don't like his friend. And I realize in the book he ran away instead of, like, getting into a confrontation with his best friend. But he only goes... In the book, guys, Jenner and his 6 compatriots that follow him go out and get themselves killed.
They get electrocuted.
Yeah, they get electrocuted trying to steal a generator. Or a motor of some kind. Because the shop owner that they were stealing from left it plugged in and they didn't realize it, and... So, anyways, but beside the point. So, what was the Flying Dreams lullaby for Timothy? Was that...
Oh, that was when Mrs. Frisbee gave Timothy the medicine, and it was that song.
Yeah, yeah. I skipped that because that wasn't really that scary. I think
no, that was just endearing.
Yeah, it was endearing. We'll show it towards the end. I don't know what this one is that We Know Too Much. Oh, that's the Dragon Volunteer. That is that one.
So maybe it does show Dragon. Her doing the thing with Dragon.
Sorry, guys. I totally missed this one. Just a weird label on it. I should have fixed it.
Mr. Aegis makes up a sleeping powder to give to Dragon.
How do you get him to take it?
Someone must go into the farmhouse kitchen, put it in his dish.
I bet this also shows the
way
escape.
Into the kitchen.
Which is what I really wanted to show was the escape, because I think the escape is important.
Aegis tried it yesterday.
Oh, when she's kicking the water thing.
Right.
Yeah, Nicodemus and his weird eyes.
That was close.
What's up there?
The mill. It's falling apart. Hope it stays up there. At least until we've done with the plan.
Plan? What is the plan?
To live without stealing, of course.
It's wrong to take electricity from the farmer.
My child, we can no longer live as rats. We know too much.
Oh, his face gets so big right there. We know too much.
I should go prepare the children. Or tonight.
We shall wait here until dark.
He looks so frail.
Dragon?
He does.
Maybe? Oh, nothing. Goodbye.
He's like Yoda.
I almost feel like that's what they were going for.
They could have. I mean, it was done around the same time.
I volunteer. For Dragon.
Oh, no, Mrs. Brisby. Nicodemus, this is no job for her.
Please.
As you wish.
All right.
I love how
Meet
he
you at
doesn't
the
even
west
try
side
to
of the
talk her out of
farmhouse
it. He's just like,
at
yeah,
dusk.
if you want to do it, fine.
Thank you. Oh, I must
Well, I mean, they needed someone to do it.
In the book, it's a lot. I think it's more well done in the book. How she ends up volunteering.
In the book, it's a lot of back and forth trying to get her to not do it.
Yes. But her coming to the realization she's the only one who can. So, I guess they didn't show what we wanted to show. That's unfortunate. So, all that, getting past Jenner's plan, we get to this scene, and then I think we have one more after it. So...
Ready. Cut now.
They're successfully moving the house.
I cut it. No.
So they have all the pulleys and stuff up.
Yeah.
Okay, help me. We've got to hurry.
And Jenner cuts all the lights, and the brick drops on.
Come on, come on. We're coming. Okay.
Which is super traumatic.
Yes. It's really hard to see it in this clip. It's a little dark.
Oh, no.
But
No.
you do see this. And Nicodemus is there crushed by all of the beams. And it is just not... Like, you understand what that is. Even as a kid, you understand what that is. Like, that's that. But that whole scene actually is really terrifying. It's a little hard to see in this clip, unfortunately, but that banter, that back and forth right there between Jenner and his lackey, his lackey's like, I don't want to do it, I can't do it, and Jenner just basically calls him spineless and cuts the ropes for him to finish the job. You know, it just really, I remember that scene being hard-hitting as a kid. Like, I was sad, I cried there. Because at that point, you've kind of already developed this weird affinity for Nicodemus without even realizing it. Like, him to die there, you're just like, oh, wow. Like, they just... And Justin is very like, no. Right? Justin is upset. Justin is sad. So that leads us to this next scene, which in and of itself, in its own right, is fairly traumatizing.
Please, you must believe me.
What if it's true? We'll all be killed. Don't panic. Don't listen. She's hysterical.
Get out now. Ah!
You get out. I've had enough.
Jenna.
Justin!
Jenner, stop this!
Stone.
Jenner!
Get out of my way!
Are you playing the one where she's at the cinder block?
No, this is him trying to steal the stone and Justin's fighting him.
Okay, so the fight scene.
Yeah.
Justin! My sword!
Because you can't have a thing with rats and swords without having a fight scene.
Right. Well, and then we see the death of Jenner's lackey. Jenner kills him. And again, he's muted reds all throughout, even with the sword strikes. And just really intense music.
It was you.
The thing that Jenner's giving his own personal motto: "Take what you can when you can."
Yes, I killed him.
Even admits to killing him at this point, so...
Look at his sword. He's got that sinister wavy sword. For one, how would they know how to make something like that?
Well, and the book
He wanted to
explains
destroy
that.
everything.
The book explains that they have
I've
read a lot of
learned this
books.
much.
When they stopped
Take
on their way
what
to the
you
farmer's
can.
house, they didn't get here first.
When
They went
you
to another
can.
place
Then
first.
you
They had a
learned.
huge library.
Yeah, because that was the
They learned everything.
house.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they found the toy tinkers.
Yes.
Truck.
Tools and equipment. Yep.
Friends, Tonight we journey to Thorn Valley. We will leave no tracks. No
I remember how
evidence that the
scary
rats
that
of NIMH
was.
ever
That
existed.
growl and that menacing, like, motion of him.
Come.
Like, that just primal.
Jenner's terrifying.
Now the dagger in his back is not.
Yep. But that growl he makes afterward.
So, and I think that's the last of our clips.
They got Mrs. Brisby saving the house, which is her running to her kids because the stone is sinking. Or the block is sinking.
Which one is that?
Mrs. Frisbee saves her children.
Is that the risk her life for her children one?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. That happens right after this.
Hello? Anybody up there?
Martin?
Mom! Mother, are we almost moved?
Soon now.
So, in the book, they weren't in the house when they moved it. But, of course, the house also didn't get dropped like this in the book.
Right. In the muck. And Mother, what's all this black stuff?
Right, so this was scary as shit.
Justin! The block! It's sinking!
What?
And I wanted to know where Timmy was in this whole thing when it was sinking. Like, where the fuck's the sick one?
There must be a cave in below.
Here, tie these lines together. I'll get a line around the stone. Now, Brutus, quick, get some rope. Tie off those block
Brutus
lines.
is way less scary in that scene.
Move it!
Mother! Mother! What's all that black stuff? Come on, Teresa, get up on the table. Super yuck. What about Timmy? Get us out of here! Mother!
So much panic.
Like in the beginning, you can see like the hopelessness on her face.
Yes.
And she's willing to go down with the block to save her kids.
Yep.
Don't let go! Grab onto my foot! I can't breathe!
Oh no! Come on!
Sinking farther! We're losing
Magic stone powers activate.
Right? Mrs. Frisbee does not know Shibari after seeing her try to tie a knot just a second ago.
Yeah, she's terrible at it. It's like the stone's a magical girl.
Right? And the shrew was knocked out too, like the shrew's in here too.
The stone has a power when it's there.
The stone.
Look at that, she becomes a god.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, she didn't even need the rat to move her house, she just needed the stone.
She just needed to have a panic attack and grab the
Exactly.
stone.
I just want to point out that once again, Mrs. Frisbee's got stones. Just saying, guys, just saying. Mrs. Frisbee's got some stones.
And I didn't have the ending part where You know, they have the crow sex noises in the grass.
Oh, yeah, it's okay. We don't need those. I took care of that with the slippage of Rule 34. Even though it's a crow with a crow.
The scene after that, though, or it's either before or after, when Timothy's like, but I feel better. I always like to bring that up with clients who are like, I need to go do this and blah blah. It's like, no, you're not ready yet. It's not. You're not feeling okay.
Better, just because you feel better doesn't mean you are better.
Correct. But then he does this huff like.
Yeah, exactly. In the book, he understands. In the movie, he's like indignant about it. But you know, I mean, all in all, so the great thing, if you look at the whole of the movie, because I mean, we're at the end of the movie at this point. But if you look at the whole of the movie, like, it really sets you up with these, like, back-to-back traumas that happen in succession very quickly. And they're not always big traumas. They're sometimes little traumas. But the movie also explores these deeper themes, too, like death and how you deal with it, and how when we don't understand what happens to someone, sometimes we move on, and then suddenly we find out what really happened, and we have to deal with that new knowledge. As Mrs. Frisbee does when she learns about Jonathan. And it really takes her down for a second. And then she has to come back and she decides that, you know, for her kids, she can do anything. Obviously, Jonathan was doing all these things for her family, and she didn't know he was doing these things for her family, even though it was also to help the rats. You know, now she's suddenly got this elevated status, and she's going to do the same thing he did. She's going to risk her life by drugging the cat to save her family. And so, you know, the movie does this great job of really exploring these deep elements, but it also really hits you hard with all these big scenes with trauma. Nicodemus, the owl, you know, the cat. Ugh, the cat. You know, the death of Jenner, the death of his lackey, the death of Nicodemus. You know, all of these big trauma scenes happen, and a lot of them happen back to back. Very quickly in succession, and then you don't have time to recover. And actually, in a way, that's kind of good for this movie, because you're not allowed to linger on the trauma of the event. It's shown to you, you know that it happens, you feel that it happens, but you move on to the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. But the ending, like most of the movies that we cover, ends on a happy note, right? Jeremy finds someone to be in love with, the house is moved, the kids are safe, Timmy's well, the rats escape, nobody gets harmed. Right? We end on a really happy note, and we forget all of these bad things that took place in the rest of the movie.
Which is how complex PTSD forms.
Quick succession back-to-back traumas?
Right.
Yes.
That aren't processed.
That are not processed. That is true. And we wonder why, as adults, we have anxiety. It's because we're given shit like this when we were kids. And am I just as guilty? Like, if I let my kid watch Lion King? Yeah. Lion King is so dramatic. Like,
yes, it is.
Am I like, I should show this movie to my daughter? Yes. Yes, I want my daughter to watch this movie. Well, it
also has good talking points too, like the betrayal, the death of Mufasa, so a death of a parent figure.
Right.
The same thing, like Secret of NIMH, you have they talk about the death of Jonathan.
Right.
But they don't really talk about how the family grieved, but they had a whole year to grieve before this movie
came about. They had already grieved it, and she had already felt like she moved on. And I want to point out, grief is different for everybody, right? Grief doesn't happen. We talk about grief in stages. You know, we often have this idea that, oh, we just need to move through these stages of grief. But that's not really how grief works. Yes, there's kind of stages, but no, not really. Grief is a very complex feeling that you feel, and it's a very continuous feeling. And it never really goes away. It just gets a little less. And it gets a little less, and it gets a little less. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't come back. That's why, like, bereavement leave pisses me off, because it's never actually enough time for you to actually mourn or grieve. Because if we were giving people enough time to grieve, we would give them more than, you know, a couple of days.
Correct. And Kubler-Ross, who actually came up with the stages of grief or stages of acceptance, even said, if I had to teach this again, I would try to emphasize even more, it is not a linear path.
It's not. And I like to tell people all the time that grief is not linear, and you can't even think of it as circular. Grief is like a fucking hairball. It's just a mess. You don't know where you're gonna be. You could be angry one day and then accepting of everything that's happened an hour later. And then go right back into bargaining for everything all over again. And then be angry and accepting and bargaining and... Like, all of these stages, like, the 5 stages that we like to think of can happen in any order, and they can happen at any time, and you can go back and forth for months, years. Not
I like
days, weeks. It's
right.
It's the timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly, like...
Ball of yuck.
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's not a linear thing, and so, you know, do me a favor, and when you think about processing grief, please remember that grief is not a linear thing. It's not circular. It's a very messy... ball of wax.
I like to explain it. It's a ball in a box, and there's a switch in the box.
It just shakes it up.
And every time, like, the ball bounces around, but it's really small at first, the box is, because you don't have a lot of life experience. And it keeps hitting that switch, so stuff happens. The more life experience you have on top of the grief, the box gets bigger. However, the ball's still going to hit the switch every once in a while.
Yeah.
So you're still going to cry. You're still going to have those feelings of all kinds of things, denial, bargaining, anger. Exactly. All of it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's all going to happen. And you know, that's what we don't get to see with Mrs. Frisbee. We don't get to see her go through her grieving process. Because she has to grieve all over again once she learns what really happened to Jonathan. And now she's lost new friends, right? She's lost Nicodemus. She loses Justin because they leave, so now the rats are gone. Right? So there's a lot of loss that she has to process. And, you know, we don't get to see that happen. We end on the happy note that her kids are safe and her house is safe and Timothy's not going to die. What we don't get is the rest of the sadness that's going to come from all of this. Because she's going to come down from this adrenaline rush that she had trying to save her kids. And she's going to grieve. And she's going to grieve the trauma of what could have happened. Because her mind is now going to go into the what-if cycle. And she's going to start going, what if this hadn't worked? What if I didn't have this? What if all these other things? And she's going to trap herself in that for a little while before she's finally okay with where everything is. So, her ending isn't happy. We like to think of her ending as, yay, it's happy! And she got everything she needed! And no, mate. No, her ending is not. It's not happy. It's got a lot of shit she's gonna have to work through. But hey, that's the story though, right? And that's the part that we like to miss out on and we like to conveniently forget is gonna happen at the end. And so, when we do these movies and we watch these things, we're reminded all these things that were traumatizing to us as kids, and sometimes we do a little re-traumatizing ourselves when you guys watch it with us and we talk about this stuff, or, you know, we accidentally slip and show things we didn't mean to show, but, you know, or we just make really crass jokes that also end up being traumatizing. But at the same time, it's important to note that, you know, we do this because we all love these movies.
Right, and it's like the hidden messages that
are all lying around. Yeah, like all these underlying messages that are in these movies that as kids we totally missed. And now we're looking at them through this completely different lens and saying, holy shit, why did I watch this as a kid? Like, what are my parents thinking? And then I'm over here as a parent and I'm like, I should show this to my child. I know exactly what I'm doing. Like... But that's that. We actually almost have our scale completely ready to go. There's just a couple of things I forgot to ask for to get the scale completely ramped up for tonight. But I do want you to know, we do have the scale. We promised you guys that a long time ago, and I'm the one who's been terrible about getting the rest of this ready. Because I have to ask for things that I have not asked for and therefore not gotten to make it work. But we did rate it on our scale, and on our scale we gave the Secret of NIMH a 6. On the trauma scale for us. And it's not that this movie is particularly traumatizing because obviously a 6 is just barely over a 5, which means it's really kind of mild. And the reason I gave it a 6 in the end is I just kind of averaged our lowest and our highest scores for where we kind of feel like it falls. And it came out to a solid 6. And that's just because there's some scenes in this movie that are really very, very traumatizing. And they can hit you hard. The owl, Nicodemus, some of those scenes just really hit home hard real fast. And then they let you go. But a lot of the movie is very light and fun. And even the scenes that are scary aren't super scary, right? There's just a few. Dragon in the beginning, the owl.
They're the movies that traumatized